If you can understand and start to practice this concept, you will have far more understanding of what to do with your wealth and your money as you're earning it, growing it, than a massive percentage of the rest of the world. Where's the best place to put your money? If you don't know me, my name is Ryan, I'm a financial planner. I want to start this series where I can kind of have a place to share the things that I'm seeing with clients, see the things that I see with the agents that I train and coach so that they can help their clients. Because if we don't talk about things, if we just kind of keep it to ourselves, we're limiting the world's experience and what we can contribute to the world. And for me, the answer to that big question is exactly that. And that's what I want to talk about today. I run a company called The Prosperity Professor because my mission statement and the things that I work with my clients on is finding customized strategies based on where they are at and where they're trying to go, and helping them to organize everything in a way that it's working for them. And not just investments, not just savings, but every single component of their financial life should be working for you. If you can understand and start to practice this concept, you will have far more understanding of what to do with your wealth and your money as you're earning it, growing it, than a massive percentage of the rest of the world. So I want to teach this concept, but before I get there, let's back up a little bit, a little history lesson. Why is it in the richest nation, not only in the world right now, but that has ever existed, to our knowledge, why is it that there are so many people in this country having such a tough time economically? Your answer to that question is going to depend on a lot of factors. Could be depending on how you were raised, watching your family, your neighbors, your peers, teachers, counselors, other coworkers. We all get our counseling and financial education from what we witness, unless you actively seek it out. So depending on your perspective, you could say that people don't do well financially because of their family and where they come from. And certainly nepotism is a huge factor in gaining and supercharging wealth over generations. Some people could say it comes down to their health. And I might be tempted to agree with a lot of that because I believe our investment choices, our financial decisions are largely based on our health and how we're doing. I say that as I enjoying some less healthy things. They say a healthy person has many, many wishes, while an unhealthy person only has one. There may be some merit to that, because the thing about life is you're alive until you're not. You're healthy until you're not. And then once that happens, there's no going back. So to a degree, that's part of the answer. Another part of the answer, and this is getting to, I think, the biggest piece, is education. I touched on this earlier. Where do you accept information from as valid and viable when it comes to your finances? I have some funny stories about that. I'll tell two. Someone very close to me asked me for some small insurance advice, and we had a conversation. We got to talking about finances, and I had come to find out, no judgment to them, this was just a shock to me, and maybe it will be to you. I come to find out the people that have been managing their money, which is fairly significant relative to the American populace, he did well for himself. The person that's been managing their money for the past 30 years has been one single individual who met them because he was door knocking the neighborhood with a red radio flyer wagon filled with watermelons, offering them to all the new neighbors. Now, nothing against this salesman's gumption to take that initiative and try that attempt, because clearly it worked. And no disrespect to him, he may be a phenomenal financial advisor. But let me pose it a different scenario. My wife and I, we love to go out and eat dinner. And personally, I like to look at reviews before I go somewhere. You might be the same way. I like to go on Yelp or Google, look at pictures and such to see, does this place have the kind of things that I like? That's just when I go on a one single night outing. Might take an hour or two. My wife and I also like to travel. When we go on vacation, we'll typically go for maybe 10 days or 2 weeks. And when we do that, again, we like to do a little bit of research about where we're going. Look at restaurants on Google, look at reviews, maybe watch a YouTube video. And not just one content creator or one review. We like to look at several, get various opinions at different places before we make our own decision. You may be the same way. If that is the case, and we get multiple opinions for a 2-hour evening at dinner, and we get multiple opinions for a 2-week vacation, how many opinions are you considering when it comes to the longest vacation you'll ever take, which is your retirement? It's about typically a 1,300-week vacation. How many opinions do you think you should take for something like that? Some people are relying on one single opinion they got from a man who met them delivering watermelons. This is why I'm creating a series like this, trying to spread just some knowledge or ways to think about things, especially when it comes to finance. Because what I've come to find is that no, money is not the route to happiness, but it is the factor that I want to talk about today, the concept I want to talk about today that is. And the main driver, I believe, that causes certain people in the richest country, in the wealthiest nation, the land of the most opportunity that has ever existed in time, to our knowledge, the number one reason I believe that keeps people back is not just their education or their family, their upbringing, because eventually those just become excuses. It could be their health. If it is detrimental, it's difficult to start thinking and philosophizing higher if you're just trying to survive. But for those that are healthy, and for those that are competent, and for those that can read, have access to the internet, at this point, ignorance is a choice. And the number one factor that's holding them back is their mindset, because there isn't any inherent value in money. The value is in what you are able to do with it. People say, well, I need money to make money. You don't need money to make money. You need a better strategy. I can give a few examples of that. Let's talk about money mindset. I was in a meeting with a client and my good friend Brock Fortner the other day. And this client I've had for many years, loves the stock market, loves crypto, has quite a bit of a collectible account too, collections. He's got a lot of Pokemon cards and rare comics and things like that. Super cool guy. One of the things that I learned in undergrad when I studied philosophy was about the Socratic method. And Socrates, as cool as he's made to be, was kind of a dick. And basically what he did was he acted or implied or stated that he doesn't know anything. And that's why the Oracle at Delphi said he was the wisest. But he basically questions the hell out of everything. And the helpful thing to us, what we can take from that practice, is questioning everything. So we asked the client a couple questions about his habit with the stock market. And mind you, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's got multiple businesses. He has a clothing company, a merch company, an event planning business, marketing business. He's multiple businesses, but he's also investing in the market. And the question was, why do you invest in the market? Not in a banal way, truly trying to find out why. And we had a tough time answering. You might think that's silly if you're a stock investor. I'm not saying that stock investing is necessarily bad, but I just want to point it out. Why do we do it? Well, some people might say it's to grow the money. It's like, okay, the money has grown in the stock market in the past, historically, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. It's a bit of a risk, and we understand that. The hope is that it will grow, but it's not guaranteed. So that can't be the only reason. So maybe it's for cash flow. Okay, we want to grow the amount of money that we're making, but the stock market, again, it's not really great for cash flow. People say, well, you could have dividend investing. It's all right. Well, most people that do dividend investing take the dividend gains and reinvest it. So there's not really any cash flow putting the food on the table today. So it can't be that. And what was determined was it was very difficult to come up with a good answer for why he had over 6 figures of his money sitting in the stock market. So then the question turned inward, and I'll give you the same questions. What is your number one asset that you have? There is no inherent value in money. The value is in what you are able to do with it. Your number one asset is yourself and your own ability to make income, grow your human life value to you, your family, your community. You are the number one asset. So if you are the number one asset, what should be your number one investment? Well, if you're the number one asset, the number one investment is your mindset, your skills, your ideas that can increase your human life value and the amount of income and cash flow that you are bringing into your personal economy. For some in the entrepreneurial world, that's typically a business of some kind. Increasing the skills and softwares, tools, marketing campaigns that their business can occupy to then grow and increase the business owner's income, cash flow, and wealth. If you work a job, you don't have your own business, what are other ways that you can increase your human life value and the things that you bring to your personal economy, your household, your family? It may not have to be starting a business. If we agree that you're your number one asset and your mindset, skills, your business, your ability to make an income is your number one investment, then let's compare that concept, that mindset to typical financial planning that you'll see in this country, you'll see reported by online pundits, the news channels, and independent financial advisors, broker-dealers, stockbrokers. The methods that they teach are typically minimize your insurance costs. You're never going to use it anyways. Minimize your protection components. Don't keep a lot of money in the bank because it's losing to opportunity cost. And really do everything you can to invest as much money as possible into Wall Street, into the stock market, into bonds, into crypto. You can get a massive rate of return. There are some pretty crazy things you can do with crypto. But besides the point, when we really analyze all of the advice that we see from typical planners, there's a couple rules that stand out that typical financial institutions are trying to do. They want as much money from us as physically possible. They want to separate as much of our money as possible. They want to hold on to that money and keep it within their control and their balance sheets for as long as possible. And when we want our money back, we want to use it for cash flow, for growth, for legacies, for bills, for emergencies. They want to give us as little as possible. Now, hopefully some of those themes sounded familiar if you ever tried to get your money out of a 401k, or you try to take a loan from a bank, even though you have savings there, or trying to increase your credit. All the institutions are pushing back against us. But what we further need to think about is, do those themes and rules allow us to play our game to the greatest advantage? If we separate ourselves from our money, the resource that allows us to increase our human life value, is that going to allow us to play the game to the full of our potential? Probably not. So if that is the case, then what do we do with our money in order to create the most flexibility, the most control, the most liquidity, the most security to allow us to grow our human life value and increase our cash flow? When we look at things that way, then we're able to see not only in the short term, but also the long term, which financial moves are going to put us closer to getting where we want in our cash flows today, our lifestyle today, versus decisions that won't. I hope this was valuable for you. I'm grateful that you listened. If you like, feel free to drop a like, drop a comment below. Subscribe if you want to continue with the series. As long as the weather permits, I'll be out here by the fire, but on some calls, we'll pull up the whiteboard. We'll show some, and just give you guys some ideas or concepts that you can go get second, third, fourth, fifth opinions on. Because in the end, you're healthy until you're not. And my goal is for everyone that is in that camp to be able to live as much life, have as much experience, be able to give as much as they can possibly imagine. It requires a different set of rules to live by financially, psychologically, philosophically, and it requires a mindset that is always trying to learn more and see it from a different angle and not just take surface value. If that's you, then we're in good company.